the stereotypes. Men are the superficial, shallow ones, all they care about is looks, whereas women are the more highly evolved ones. They care about substance and personality. What I'm going to do in this video is share the results of a scientific study that proves that women do care about personality, but only if the man is good looking. Number one priority for women is physical attractiveness. What's interesting is that women themselves aren't even aware of their own preference. The study revealed a whole bunch of fascinating stuff. I'm going to share it all. The study is called The Importance of Physical Attractiveness to the Mate Choices of Women and Their Mothers. But first I want you to check out this footage because this woman is a rare find. She's self-aware enough to know that looks are extremely important to her and that that's often the distinguishing factor between a boyfriend as opposed to a boy who's just a friend. Listen closely to her answer.
Is it possible for an attractive man and an attractive woman to just be friends? No? Why is that?
Because I've been in that situation. Well, maybe for other people, I don't know, but I can only speak for myself.
Okay. Do you have many male friends? You do?
Yeah.
So it is possible?
Yeah, but like, we're different. We're different.
In how? What do you mean?
In like attractiveness.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can tell that she really didn't want to say it, and I can understand that. It's very socially uncomfortable. But I applaud her honesty because she says, yes, I have male friends, but the reason that they're just friends is the difference in attractiveness. Most of the women that we ask that question to just flat out deny it. Either they aren't aware of their own preferences, they're just in denial about it, or they are aware of it but would never speak it out loud. They would never admit it publicly. So let's start discussing this study. In order to get participants, they put the call out to women, and they managed to find 80 daughters aged 15 to 29 and 61 mothers aged 37 to 61. They asked these women to rank the desirability of men based on photographs and personality description. So what happens when you put a handsome guy with a pretty average personality next to an ugly guy with a wonderful personality? The results were absolutely clear. Women chose the attractive man. It didn't matter that his personality was terrible, physical appearance came first. Reading directly from the study, both women and their mothers rated the attractive and moderately attractive targets as more desirable dating partners for themselves/their daughters versus the unattractive target. So you see, in order to be considered a legitimate dating prospect by women, you need to reach a minimal level of attractiveness. As long as you meet that minimum standard, that's when personality becomes more important. You might think that women would always go for the most attractive man, but that's actually not what the study showed. But for women, it wasn't like that. After the minimum standard of attractiveness was met, that's when personality became the most important factor. So women do pay attention to personality traits, but only after a minimum level of physical attractiveness has been met. Again, reading directly from the study, the unattractive men were never rated more favorably than their more attractive counterparts, regardless of the trait profiles that they were assigned. Now, some people might have predicted that because the daughters, the younger women, would actually be dating the man, perhaps they're going to be more likely to be swayed by handsomeness, a guy who's physically attractive. But surely not the mothers who are choosing partners for their daughters. You know, they've gotten a bit older, they're a lot more experienced. Surely by that stage of their life, they will have learned that personality is the most important thing. That's actually not what the results showed. It's very interesting. For both the daughters and the mothers, there was consistency across both groups. A minimum standard of physical attractiveness has to be met before personality becomes relevant in the consideration. What this study and others like it have proved is that there is a difference between men and women. But it's not that men care about looks and women don't. It's that men are honest about it, whereas women are in denial about their own preferences. The cultural myth that men care about looks, whereas women are above that sort of thing, is just nonsense. This is what is called the halo effect, where we judge somebody to have positive personality characteristics based on their physical appearance. Here's another excerpt from the study. The current study also suggests that this association between attractiveness and positive traits is so strong that these positive expectations may override impressions of the traits actually ascribed to the individuals. What this means is that when women see an attractive man and they hear, either through friends or written on the study, as it was in this case, that he has a bad personality, they're not likely to believe it because their life experience or their expectations are that good-looking people tend to have more positive personalities. So even if the explicit facts say the opposite, they're likely to ignore that and just go with their instinct. I think that this one is difficult to prove one way or the other, but the halo effect is absolutely a real documented phenomena, and I think that it would be foolish to underestimate its influence. Even if you are ugly, there is no point feeling sorry for yourself. Yes, let me validate you, you are at a disadvantage, no doubt, but you need to grieve that and then move on. It's not fair, and everything in your life is going to be harder because of it. But you have to move past that. Work at improving yourself in every other area of life so that your looks don't become what defines you.
For an attractive man and an attractive woman to just be friends.
It is if they're not attracted to each other, then it's possible for them to be friends, yeah.
Okay. What happens if one is and one isn't?
Attracted to them?
Yeah.
It's going to be awkward because like one of them is going to kind of like hit on the other one and you're going to have to keep rejecting the person. So I think eventually it just
gets awkward.
It won't work out, yeah. Someone will get disappointed.
I think we can all acknowledge that that's a reality, that when romantic feelings are involved, it really prevents, the viability of a male-female friendship from developing. And yes, if one person's attracted to the other, then can a friendship really exist? Probably not. But does that mean that it is impossible to have female friends? Absolutely not. For some guys, they're just not used to viewing women in any way that's not romantic or sexual. Of course you're not going to have any female friends because every time you meet women, you're thinking of them in a sexual way and you're not even open to the possibility of friendship. Your mind doesn't even realize that it's excluding women from that possibility. That is a really common form of resistance that I've encountered, but there are a whole bunch of others as well. Another one is that some of the guys I speak to don't even believe that it's possible for men and women to be friends because they think that there's always going to be this underlying sexual element. I sort of understand where they're coming from, but on the other hand, it's difficult to relate to because, at least for me, I'm not attracted to every single woman that I meet. For me personally, I have very specific tastes in physical beauty for what I find desirable, and so the vast majority of women that I meet aren't going to, fall into that category. But just because I'm not physically attracted to them, that doesn't mean that they have nothing to offer. You might not want to make her your girlfriend, but that doesn't mean that a friendship with her wouldn't enhance your life. I also think, what about the girlfriends and wives of your male friends? I mean, even if you do find them physically attractive, those women are off limits. But you're going to be seeing them all the time. They're part of your social circle. When you go on holidays together, when you see them at parties, when you go out to dinner. Surely you want to be friends with these women since you see them so often. You want to have a good relationship with them, interesting conversations, all that stuff. So I think that the argument that because of the underlying sexual attraction that exists between men and women is going to interfere with female-male friendships, I don't think that that really holds up because you just aren't going to find every single woman attractive. Now, it's quite rare, but every now and then I do meet a guy who believes that men and women can't be friends, not just because of the interference of romantic feelings, but because they believe that men and women are just so fundamentally different that they really have nothing to offer each other outside of the sexual element. I have to say, I find this one the most bizarre. And it's not that I necessarily disagree. Men and women are very, very different. That's kind of the basis of this entire channel. But I don't find that those differences mean that it excludes the possibility of positive non-sexual interactions. I actually think that those differences are what makes the conversations so fascinating. There are times where I want to have deeply analytical, logical conversations. Maybe I even want an argument or a debate. And when I'm in that kind of mood, yeah, I'm probably going to go chat to my male friends. I just want to enjoy that pure masculine dynamic, really enjoy the thrill of an intellectual debate, but that's still only a small part of my personality. Sharing funny stories, discussing ideas, listening to the life experiences of other people, all of this can be done with women, and that's fascinating. I love asking women to share with me their experiences of dating men, what it's like, what they're looking for, what their beliefs are, what they find attractive. All of that data feeds into my understanding of male-female dynamics. you will learn a lot, and that additional wisdom will benefit you tremendously. Now, lastly, and this is perhaps the biggest one, men don't want to be friends with women because they dread ending up in the friend zone. Now, on the whole, I am glad that concepts like the friend zone have been popularized so that men are aware of the dangers of just orbiting women. It is really heartbreaking when you see a guy who has a crush on a girl and spends months, sometimes even years of his life just wasted following her around, trying to prove to her that he's a legitimate dating prospect, hoping that one day she's going to change her mind. He thinks, if I'm just patient enough, maybe one day she's going to see me differently. And it really sucks because that very rarely happens. Mostly the guy is just getting led on and she's keeping him around for attention. Or it could be his fault. The signs are clear, he's just deeply in denial. By being aware of concepts like the friend zone, it keeps men from falling into this trap. It protects them, and that is definitely a good thing. But the hidden danger of that is that men start to believe that any kind of a friendship with a woman means that you're in the friend zone. But that is not how this works. The concept of the friend zone only applies when you, as the man, have romantic feelings for her and it's not reciprocated. You want her and she doesn't want you, so you settle for friendship. That's what the friend zone is. But if you're not attracted to her romantically, you just want to be friends with her and she just wants to be friends with you, that's not the friend zone, that's just friends. I have spoken many times on this channel about how much more difficulty men have on the dating market than women. Even professional pickup artists, guys who spend all day, every day seducing women and teaching other guys how to do this, get blown out and rejected way more often than they are successful. When you see these professional dating coaches actually break down the data, how many women they approached, how often they got a number, how often they got a response, a date, a relationship, the result is very, very low. This is the reality of our dating market. Men are just not the valuable gender. Women have an absolute abundance of male attention. They're getting hit on by thirsty guys all of the time. And with so much abundance of men around, it's very difficult for the average guy to actually stand out and demonstrate that he's different and unique. But what happens if the only time that you're ever interacting with women is in a romantic context? When you're hitting on them, when you're asking them out? In that case, basically all of your exposure to the feminine is going to be them rejecting you, because that's just the odds of the dating market. That's how the data plays out. Statistically speaking, you are so much more likely to experience rejection than success. You will be trapped in this uncomfortable dynamic of the dating market. That's how you're exposed to women, is you pursuing them, you chasing them, and ultimately, in most cases, getting rejected. I am simplifying this, of course. I do know that there are ways to structure your life so that women chase you, but I'm just trying to illustrate a point, so stay with me. In the context of the dating market, women are the more valuable ones. They have the abundance, and you, as a man, are the less valuable one. That's why you have to do the pursuing. You are the one with the scarcity. And so if the only interactions that you have with women are in that context, the dating context, where rejection is way more likely than success, well, that's when your mindset begins to deteriorate. You begin to expect failure. You feel inherently less powerful. You feel insecure, you feel less valuable, and you begin to resent women. Why do they have it so easy when you put in all this time, all this effort, all this hard work, and experience a fraction of the success that they do? But here's the secret, here's the hack. Because if you have lots and lots of female friends, then most of your interactions with the feminine are not going to be in this terribly unequal dating market. It's going to be in the context of friendship, where you're both equals. This is the way that you protect your mindset so that you don't grow bitter and resentful about women. Just think it through. What is going to happen to your mindset if the only time you ever interact with women is in a dating context, where you're pursuing them, where you're the less valuable, less powerful one, and where you're experiencing rejection more often than success? You can see how quickly it's going to turn into a vicious cycle and become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You become more bitter and resentful about women, which in turn makes you less attractive, which in turn makes them more likely to reject you, and then right back to the start, where you go more bitter and resentful about women. This is so important to understand. You absolutely have to protect your mindset, and the best way to do that is to interact with women outside of the context of dating. being friends with them. If you're living your life right, the majority of the interactions that you have with women should not be you trying to sleep with them. As a man, the dating market is where you have the least power, so why would you want to stay there for the majority of your time? Make female friends, and not just with the women that you're sexually attracted to that you want to sleep with one day. That's not at all what I'm talking about. I'm talking about all of those women who you ignored because they weren't pretty enough, that you didn't consider as a viable dating prospect. They might have fantastic personalities, they might be interesting people. Make friends with those women. Just because they're not physically your type doesn't mean that they have nothing to offer your life. They could enhance your life in innumerable ways if you just gave them a chance. If they are high quality individuals, and I only recommend being friends with high quality individuals, then they will improve your life dramatically.